Hello everyone, I haven't done a DLC prediction video for a little while now. That is mostly because since the release of the Oceania pack, I have been quite clueless of what the future of Planet Zoo looks like. I have however been thinking for a bit, collecting some ideas from across the interwebs and from other friends and creators, and I'm finally starting to get some kind of ideas and inspirations for what future packs could possibly look like. Most recently, we've received the Eurasian Animal Pack, which I will admit was not something I expected from Frontier, but retrospectively it does make a lot of sense for a pack theme. Therefore, a lot of people have been predicting something like an Americas pack or a New World pack or something like that, and I do agree that this is a very likely idea, although I think that this idea would work better as an animal pack instead of a scenery pack. But since the next DLC will most likely be a scenery pack, I will be designing this pack as if it were to be something like this. However, a quick disclaimer, I will not be claiming that the following pack I will be discussing will in fact be the first upcoming pack. I think that if anything, it is more likely we will get a New World pack somewhere down the line instead of right after the Eurasia Animal pack. But either options are equally as viable in my humble opinion. But that is even if this idea will become a pack in the first place, since this is all mere speculation and nothing more. But with that very long disclaimer out of the way, let's get creative with some predictions, shall we? Now, if the next pack is America's pack, then it will probably be a scenery pack. And if it is a scenery pack, then the only real architecture I can think of is native North American architecture. I think it would also be quite cool to have like a pirate theme building set, but I think many of you would appreciate some representation of Native American architecture as well. Wait, Planet Zoo is coming to console? Okay, this changes everything. Scrap the Americas idea. This is it, everyone. This is the end of Planet Zoo. Granted, there will be one more pack, and then it's over. I really do believe that this is the end. But since I am quite confident the next pack will actually be the last pack, I don't think it will ever be an America's pack, so I can't see them ending their game with that. Frontier likes to bless us with bigger, albeit more expensive packs with a lot of their content that also acts like a bit of a fan service. Okay, not always, but I do think that Planet Zoo has some potential. I think for many of you the most logical thing would be birds. And although I agree, there is actually an alternative which I think might be very likely. And it's that alternative that I would like to discuss today. As you may know, Planet Zoo is a creative management game that not only focuses on creativity, just like in Planet Coaster games, but also realism when it comes to the animals' designs, but also about the information and conservation surrounding these animals. For this, Planet Zoo has partnered with a handful of zoos that include Edinburgh Zoo, Sheffield Wildlife Park, Chester Zoo and San Diego Zoo. Last two have been on the spotlight in dev diaries and live streams in the past, so I think it might be quite possible that their final pack could revolve around one or maybe even multiple of these zoos. Although not always equally as popular, Frontier has been known to theme their packs around sponsorships. With that in mind, being under the impression that it would probably be the last pack, I also think it will be larger than any of the other packs we've had before. My estimate would be at least the same number of animals like in an animal pack, so that would mean 8, although more on this later. But also it would include scenery pieces and a campaign to seal the deal. What I think is most likely of the two is probably a San Diego expansion. This fictional expansion would include 8 somewhat recognizable animals from San Diego Zoo to further fill up the roster so you can recreate the zoo even more accurately in the game. The pack could also include scenery pieces based around buildings and scenery found throughout the zoo, and some props like the lion statue at the entrance and some San Diego themed signs. For the animals, it could be any inhabitant of San Diego Zoo, but to give some kind of an idea, I have listed the roster of animals which I think are quite likely. Firstly, the glider, since the animal is still a highly requested animal and has a very cool exhibit in San Diego Zoo featured in the Africa Rocks section of the zoo, which is quite an original and unusual theme. A good alternative would be the Himadreyas baboon, since they are also part of this Africa Rocks section. Next, the Klipspringer is a rather unusual pick, but you know, Frontier likes to add these oddballs sometimes, and Although not a huge tourist attraction in San Diego Zoo, this small antelope is unlike anything we have in the game right now. The serval is an African cat which is closely related to the caracals. Although we have many felines in the game already, I can't see the ham in one extra. Another alternative would be the ocelot from South America. The Andean bear has had quite some attention lately surrounding theories around South American themed packs and even highland or mountain packs. This highly requested bear is also an inhabitant of San Diego Zoo. Cockerel Sifaka is a lemur. I have definitely heard the Sifaka circling around a couple of times before, although another lemur, their iconic vertical running motions and recognizable appearance would be a great addition to the game. The spiral horned antelope is not on anyone's wish list as far as I'm aware, but it breaks the pack up a bit with some larger hoofstock, and it does look quite cool if you ask me. Finally, the secretary bird is, I think, on the #1 spot on the meta wish list. People adore this animal, partially because, well, it's a bird and it's a cool one at that, but also because of the Zoo Tycoon nostalgia, of course. For the exhibit animal, I think a Chinese giant salamander would be so cool. Although I would definitely prefer this to be a habitat animal, since it is big enough to be a habitat animal, it's probably more likely to have this in an exhibit. But since this is the final pack, or at least the scenario I am proposing, then I think it would be fair to assume that we could maybe expect 1 or 2 more exhibit animals to end the game with. So I'm also adding the King Cobra since I think it's a super cool snake and it's very different than the snakes we have now. And the snake is the Cobra is quite a popular snake amongst a lot of you. And also for a walkthrough animal, we could maybe expect our only flying bird, the lorikeets. Campaign could be anything to be honest, but it would of course include something to do with the conservation and obviously San Diego. Maybe an offshoot zoo elsewhere in the States under the San Diego Zoo umbrella, since I doubt they will rebuild the entirety of San Diego Zoo in Planet Zoo. Now, I think a Chester Zoo expansion would also be quite cool if you ask me. The content of this pack would be similar to the San Diego Zoo expansion, but instead, animals from Chester Zoo. And although Chester Zoo may have slightly less recognizable landmarks, I think you could also still add a nice roster of scenery pieces. Yet again, there are quite some options for animals that could be added, but just to list a likely roster, firstly I'd like to add the Anoa. I have mentioned this species before in my island pack prediction, and I still think the Anoa could be a solid addition. This bovine is native to Sulawesi, an island of Indonesia. The grey-crowned crane, just like the secretary bird, is an automatic win simply for being a bird, and thus is loved by us all. The rock hyrax is such an odd animal. It is part of the Athotherians, which is an order of mammals which include elephants and aardvarks. This tiny elephant relative even has tiny elephant tusks and tiny elephant paws. Next, the spider monkey is a New World monkey. Is there anything else I really have to add to that? Another candidate of the Island Pack prediction video joins this gang because the tree kangaroo is also an inhabitant of Chester Zoo and would be a great addition to this pack. Another very odd pick, but I think the bush dog would be quite interesting to have in the game. It's from the canid family, although it's not actually a wolf nor a fox. In fact, it's actually closely related to the other odd canine that we have in the game, the maned wolf. Although you wouldn't think they are if you compare the length of their legs. Okay, lastly, to replace the Klipspringer from the San Diego pack, I'd like to replace it with the Dik-Dik, which is also a small antelope, and it would basically fill in the same niche as the Klipspringer. And just like before, I'm going to add 2 exhibit animals, or possible exhibit animals, to this fictional pack, and also 1 walkthrough exhibit animal. For the exhibit animals, I thought it might be interesting to have a Tuatara. It's the only member of its reptile lineage. They are in fact not a lizard, but its own complete, unique lineage. Next, the white-lipped island pit viper. Now that's a mouthful. But the white-lipped island pit viper would be so cool because I haven't even heard of this animal before I did research on the Chester Zoo animals. This bright blue snake would stand out so much amongst the others. For the walkthrough exhibit animal, I think maybe an Ai would actually be quite a possible contestant. Although maybe not because of the fact that it's quite a shy animal. But alternatively, maybe just any birds that Chester Zoo houses would work as well. Now, I know this is quite something else than I had initially planned. I actually had a whole script planned for an Americas pack. If you'd like to see what my initial prediction was for the Americas pack, then let me know in the comments and I might upload the video sometime in the future. I do think, however, that the next pack is actually the last. Like, it is painful to say, but I guess all good things eventually come to an end. However, no more packs does not mean no more fun, because, or at least for me, it would open up a whole new world of possibilities, since I would finally be comfortable using mods, knowing that there won't be any like major updates anymore. But even then, I don't think the game will die anytime soon. But in the meantime, I hope you liked this rather unusual prediction, and I would love to read your opinions on this idea, if you liked it or if you disagree, and maybe if you have any other ideas of what this final pack could maybe look like. But for now, I'll see you in the next episode. Bye bye.